Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and Blue Jays fans of all ages. Welcome to the Jaybird Watching Podcast, home of the Jays fans' unofficial barroom chat. Our hosts, Craig Borden, Liz McGuire, and Jason Lyons are here to bring you all the words on these birds. We are here to have fun and talk baseball with all of you, so have those questions ready in the chats. Special thanks to our sponsor, Jaybird Baseball Company, Canada's baseball brand. Get ready in the comment section to have your voice heard. Grab a bar stool or your favorite beverage, and let's talk some baseball. Let me hear you, Jays Nation. We are live.
Hello and good evening, Blue Jays fans, and wow, do we have a lot to talk about all of a sudden. Craig Borden here with you, and as with me as always, my buddy from the road trip, Jason Lyons. How we doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Traveling Wilburys. We got a North Shore Twins Bantam has a game in sunny Delta, British Columbia tonight, so it's about an hour and a change drive from North Van to Delta. So it's the commute. We're doing the commute, baby. This is like all the people in Toronto that listen to us while they're going home and all the rest of that. Now I'm going the other direction in the car. So hopefully this works as well as it always does.
It works usually good enough for me to, tiptoe around and play with.
There you go. Yeah.
So on that note, Blue Jays fans, I guess we're going to just have to dive into it. While we're waiting for Liz to join in, why don't we dive into the game that was yesterday before we talk about the clear headline today, Jason? And that was the fact that we debut a dragon, and all of a sudden we know how to, make runs, hit the plate.
I think it's Jonathan Clase had no ABs this year, correct? Am I correct in saying that?
Not in the major leagues.
And he steps in and hits a 3-run jack into McCovey Cove. I like the guy a lot. I think he brings a lot. And I think that when Miles Straw started sort of separating himself, Clase just found himself with nowhere to play, really. But you know what? Good for him. Good for the team. I don't know whose idea the dragon was. I kind of feel like it was an Okamoto thing. I don't know. For sure.
The rumor is the coaching staff just went and grabbed a toy and found the most vicious stuffed animal you could find,
which is a red dragon, And to all my red dragon, friends out here, guys that we skateboarded with, that used to be our skateboard crew, became a very famous clothing brand out here on the West Coast and worldwide afterwards. But the saying was, "Red dragons, we kill you." So
why does that sound like Jeff Dunham? Silence!
I don't know.
I kill you.
Yeah, I kill you. I kill you. What was that guy's name? Anyways,
Jeff Dunham was the comedian.
Jeff Dunham. That's his name. Yeah. But it's nice when you see they got pumped in that first game and it was shoulders dropped and everybody like their dog died, and then to is great. Stars, different people, having good games. And then to see the effort today, you're like, did we talk to, did somebody talk to somebody? And now we've turned the corner. Remember last year we had sort of this come to Jesus moment and they just flipped a switch and just started bashing everybody's brains in. And that kind of feels like what's happening right now. It's almost like they were laying in wait for this. We'll just we'll put everybody to sleep. Classic rope-a-dope. We'll put everybody to sleep. And then with 72 games left, we'll just start bashing everyone.
And maybe that's it. Maybe that's all it needed was this kind of a thing. But at the end of the day, Jason, I was pretty damn down over the last couple of weeks as things have been going. And all these horrible things going on. The fact that Ernie Clement and all them just basically said, we suck right now after the game they started this series off with. And the funny thing is now they walk away with a series win. So here we are.
I agree with Ernie. And I think it's the thing for me is it's been really hard to watch guys like Vladdy and especially Kirk really, really, really struggle at the dish. And he's really not. He's not even giving that little extra, sometimes when you're frustrated and you're in a slump and things aren't going well, maybe you smash one to the shortstop and you just run it out as hard as you can run it out. Just for the fact that you haven't done that in so long, you barely remember why you run it out to first base. But when you're watching Kirk hit a ground ball and the second step out of the batter's box, he might as well start going backwards into the dugout. And I get it. Everybody's been there. Everybody has these kind of slumps. But, and now that you've said that, I'm wondering if a guy like Ernie Clement didn't do something or say something. I mean, he's become a very well-respected player on this team. The guys love him. And I wonder if that kind of rhetoric, if he didn't maybe, because usually when you say something in an interview like that, you've probably said that already out loud and one of the reporters heard it. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to try and get him to bite on this. And he really did. And so, I mean, maybe he did. Maybe when he went in the dugout and was like, guys, we are shit right now. We need to do something about this. Yeah. And then you could have gone like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's to me, it's a, some sort of catalyst had to have happened, because watching yesterday and watching today was watching a very different baseball team. Every part of it, not just hitting, not just fielding, every part of it. Even their attitudes, like in the dugout, spirits are up. Springer's wearing a toque and jumping around. By the way, can we comment on the fact that the weather looks like it's absolutely deplorable in San Francisco? People are wearing winter coats and jeans, and it's 40 degrees in Toronto, I guess. Yeah, whatever.
I guess it is what it is. But to your point, everybody looked like they were having a little bit more fun in those Blue Jays uniforms in the at San Fran today. But the offense is clicking. Our buddy Domingo in the chat actually has dropped the information that Popkins was the one that bought the Dragon and said we need to play viciously, basically, at the end of the day. So,
well, it seems to have worked, and
it woke Vladdy up today. Did you see the home run that he hit to end the game here? And honestly, I blame that giant inning for the fact that we lost a no-hitter today.
No, I mean, it's I saw the first inning. Obviously, Okamoto hitting a grand slam is awesome. I like it better that they didn't know it was a grand slam, and they had to sort of be like, let's check, everybody. Yeah, okay. And the whole
he was waiting for the dugout to go like this. He was waiting for them to twist it. So it was funny. And but to that point, Okamoto, he crushed that baseball. And that absolutely annihilated it. And to be in that opposite field like that and be able to get what we got out of that, Jason, with a line drive, opposite field grand slam, his first major league grand slam.
Yeah. I'm going to say first of many. I'm going to say he's going to have 6 or 7 in his career. No kids pun intended with that.
That was just happens. But so I'm trying to find the metrics on the Vladdy home run, because this thing was a just absolute missile to dead center field. And as fun as Okamoto's was, it was 99 miles an hour off the bat and went only 328 feet opposite field. Like I mentioned, Vladdy might have knocked stitches out of this one. Yep, 108 miles an hour off the bat, 419 feet to dead center field. It was only an 18-degree launch angle. This thing just kept cruising, Jason. I think it ran into the batter's eye more than it did land in front of it.
It blackened the batter's eye. Yeah, Liz might know about that. I wonder what she is. Yeah, I mean,
and then Springer followed it up. Literally, the next bat lit that, not to be outdone, 415 feet at 104 miles an hour off the bat right after that. So
again,
barely got the home run jacket off, man.
Yeah, I mean, super good for him as well. I mean, I feel like he's been a really good cheerleader for the Jays for the last little while. While they've been slumping, I feel like he knows his role, and he's doing a good job playing it right now. It's so funny that you said you were all, and everybody's been pretty down. And like I said earlier, I mean, the Jays are 2 games out of a playoff spot, and there's 70 plus games to go still. So, I mean, I feel like, our expectations are so very high of this team that we do jump all over them when they are struggling. But
I think the problem was 3 errors in one game, Jason. It just felt on Jay's latest, my daily Blue Jay podcast, Jason, I'm on record going basically giving the Bull Durham lollygagger speech.
Yeah.
And
it's
And
so
maybe it's a
interesting.
thought that they sell the team. There's a lot of
Yeah.
veterans on this team that some guys would really like. But like I said, let's talk the game, and then I want to hear your opinions on some more of those pieces.
Well, I think it's interesting that you would mention that, and I don't know if you've been watching or not, but there's a certain team that the Jays played in the World Series last year who is kicking the ball around at an unbelievable rate right now. In fact, I would say worse than the Jays are, making ridiculous, like 10-year-old baseball players barely make these bad reads and throwing balls into the dugout while there's nobody even at third. I mean, it like craziness. And you got to start to wonder if the teams who've played a ton of baseball, if it just doesn't start to weigh on you like an anchor, and you just get to a point like how many games has Max Muncy played in the last little while, or how many games has or guys from the Jays, like Springer's played a ton of baseball in the last 2 years.
Ton of baseball.
Vladdy has played a ton of baseball in the last 2 years. So I mean, it's it is what it is, but you've got to make sure that you take a series like this, you take all the positives you can get out of it, and you go down to San Diego because they're bad right now too. And so you have to make sure that you carry that through and win 2 of 3 coming back home. I mentioned earlier that, and I don't know if this is breaking news for people, but Vladdy is not going to go to the All-Star game now.
And honestly, I'm thanking God that he's not, for many reasons, but the big one is that get him damn healthy. We need him for the stretch. It's that simple.
I also think that anyone who has any sort of baseball acumen, and to the people out there in Twitter land and all the rest of it, where they're complaining about Nick Kurtz and other guys not getting a shot. Well, they get a shot now,
there you go.
And you get a guy who's got the heart of a lion. He knows that he is the most popular first baseman in the game, and let's be honest, one of the most popular players in the game altogether. He's as big of a star as Show is. He's as big of a star as Tatis is. He's as big of a star as Mike Trout is. Probably bigger.
I think it's funny you mentioned Tatis in that same breath of air, because he's having about just as good of a season as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is.
Except
talk about a power outage.
He keeps pooching the ball in the field as well. Holy,
yes.
I think he got new gloves and they all have holes in them. But it's interesting. And again, I got nothing but time for a guy like Vladdy who steps down, allows somebody who is going. Is it Nick Kurtz that's going to go in his spot, or?
I would think that's who it is. I can't recall if they've announced anybody.
But I mean, a total class act. He knows that the season is more important than going to the All-Star game. He knows that a couple of days in the DR will probably do him good. You can jump on a private plane and head down with the family and relax for a couple of days, rather than, I would assume it's a lot of steaks and a lot of red wine and a lot of cigars at the All-Star game.
Man.
And not a lot of sleep. So, I mean, I think that like you said, it's a good opportunity for him to recharge his batteries. On the flip side, I think that Ernie Clement going, I mean, it's the year of Ernie. I mean, the World Baseball Classic, and now, named to the All-Star game, awesome for him. I mean, you're looking
about
at
somebody that
coming
deserves
off
it.
And there's lots of guys in the league that do. Yeah, and there's lots of the guys, and when they get there, I remember Dansby Swanson, the first time he was there, Bobby Witt Jr., his first. I mean, you're looking at guys who are relishing and, just love the fact that they've achieved another one of their goals in baseball. And, I mean, you talk about a guy who was, I mean, Ernie Clement was hanging on by a thread, and now is the starting second baseman for the All-Star, for the American League All-Stars. Like, I mean, you can't write this kind of stuff. It's amazing, and it's one of the great things that a popularity contest can do. I mean, Ernie probably deserves it based on a number of things, but let's call a spade a spade. He is, again, like Vladdy, one of the most popular figures in baseball right now. He can do no wrong. His Uncrustables commercials make me laugh so hard. I don't know if you get them down in the States down there.
We've seen them all. And honestly, the only thing that I am not going to get to see, and it's driving me nuts, is the new the Blue Jay Way series that starts this weekend. I have no idea how I'm going to be able to watch it here in the States. I guess maybe next week, I'm going to have to frickin' just, blow up Liz's Sportsnet account.
or I could PVR him, and then you and I could put you on the couch beside me.
Love a watch party.
Watch party. Yeah, I'm stoked about that. I saw a little bit about the Dave Stieb one more in depth, and I mean, it's interesting when you know very little about a player. And we've had the guys from the Tau Stieb on, and we've talked about Dave Stieb as a player, but it's amazing to watch players in unison be like, this guy would have run over his own mother to win a baseball game. Like he didn't care about any other thing except winning. He was an absolute
and pull for his team.
An animal. And so, I think that you're going to see some stories we probably don't know a lot about. I think we're going to probably hear different angles on stories that people think they know about. Like, I don't think many people, I've had lots of people that are regulars of the cast and even new people mention when we did have Todd Stottlemyre on, him mentioning him not seeing that home run because it went over his head. He's in the bullpen.
That was not known to anybody. I felt like we looped that one.
that was breaking news from 25 years ago. But yeah, I mean, I think it's stuff like that that's super cool, and you may not know, about Dave. I know Dave Winfield is featured, and it was great to see Fred
Our boy
McGriff
Rance is going to be on that show, and I cannot wait to see him next weekend in Toronto. So I'm looking very much forward to that. I don't know
Fred
which night
McGriff
we're
looks
meeting
like
up
he
with
can
him.
still play. And did you see Fred McGriff? He looks like $1 million.
Oh my God. Fred McGriff looks like he could just get that helicopter going and start tattooing balls into the seats still. That was still one of the coolest finishes in batting history, I feel like. Him getting that nice tall stance and then just holding that bat up over his helmet like that. It was just really cool.
Yeah,
Finish high.
Yeah. Now, as the people may know, based on where I'm driving from, I'm about to drive through a tunnel. So if I lose you, I will pick you up on the other side. Craig, you're going to have to test your tap dancing skills because this isn't a long tunnel, but the traffic is pretty slow.
There it is. So as Jason's out on his 3-hour tour, obviously today the Blue Jays had plenty going on the field. And as we're talking about Dave Stieb, who is the last person and only person to ever throw a no-hitter in Blue Jays baseball history, Steve is obviously one of those ones that will go down in legend and history. Dylan Cease is quickly carving out his very own wonderful niche here in Blue Jays history as a dominant force for the Toronto Blue Jays. Today, throws 8 scoreless innings, no hits, no nothing, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts. Finally, in the top of the 9th with nobody out, once again, another Blue Jay no-hitter ruined with the first hit in the 9th inning. Jason, what do you think about Dylan Cease and how critical has he been to just having the ace that we've been dying for? If you can hear me with still. Guess I'm going to go back to tap dancing. This tunnel's still going.
If you can hear me, I feel like he... Oh, hold on. Yeah.
Wait for it.
Just went out. Like 30 seconds. Wait for it.
I hear you.
Wait for it.
Now
I'm in the darkness. Froze. I'm coming out of the darkness. I mean, I think that the big thing, I think the big thing for Dylan Cease is a real legitimate ace. And we've had a lot of good pitchers in the last number of years. Lots of guys who, have been superstars in other facets, really good pitchers. But I don't know if we've had anybody who has as much of just an absolute kick-ass dominant ace. Like, he takes me back to like Roger Clemens, like guys like that were just pure dominators of the mound. And he doesn't look like it. I mean, this guy threw 120 pitches today. Like, who does that in this day and age? Like,
no one. Throwing 97.
I know. And that hit, I got to give it to the guy who did get the one hit. That pitch all day long had been gold, that high, like it looks like it's going to be a cutter. And so they're expecting it to drop, and it does. It just sits up at the top. It's a really nice, I'm assuming it's a 4-seam fastball that just sits up there, and you're sort of like, looks juicy. Here it comes. And then whiff, dog. But yeah, I mean, kudos to him. I don't know if you should bat flip when you break up a no-hitter, but I guess you do. You do what you do, and you live with those consequences the next time maybe somebody hits you in the side of the head with a ball. But
I'd be throwing that.
Dylan Cease to me is the kind of guy that he reminds me a lot of Max Scherzer from 20 years ago without the crazy. Like, he's got all the intensity, he's got all he's got all of the ticks all the boxes for a major league ace. Ice in his he's incredibly an incredibly good athlete. He fields the ball real well. Based on what I've seen, he seems to know the game very well. So, I think this is the kind of guy that the Jays have been, starving to have. I think they've had different pieces of what Dylan Cease offers, but never had it all in the same human. And so, for me, he's the kind of guy that you lock up. He's the kind of guy that you make sure that you've got him for a couple of years while he's still, good and violent and all those other things. And, just
that one you're not going to have to worry about. The Blue Jays had him for many years now.
Yeah, don't they have him for 6 years? Something like that. So it's pretty good. He's a pretty good pitcher.
Yeah. The thing I love about Dylan Cease, and this is just maybe think of Blue Jays great pitchers. They are not strikeout artists like you see with Dylan Cease.
No.
You got to. I think you got to be thinking David Cone, Roger Clemens, those guys that had stints with the Blue Jays.
Well,
we never had that guy that was our crazy artist, and he's actually
was my comparison. I think Rocket Roger and him remind me of each other very, very, very much. They are very similar people. Roger seemed to be a little bit more of a hothead, a little bit of Dylan Cease never seems to have anything faze him. I don't know if you saw him come out after they pulled him. He high-fived the whole dugout, walks back down, he hands his glove to some guy, I guess the glove guy, and just puts his arms up on the railing and leans in and throws a mouthful of seeds in. I'm like, holy,
I don't know if you saw this right before, so the 8th inning, the Blue Jays offense kept going and scored some more runs at the top of the 8th. They cut to where he just couldn't sit anymore because, like I said, there was just so much going on. The bases kept getting loaded and all that kind of stuff. And you just see them cut to Cease getting up. He gets up and stretches. Then he's just standing there. And you can clearly see that Hazelness was like, get the camera on Dylan Cease, and he got to get the he gets the fists going like he's boxing. It was so perfect and spot on.
Yeah, it's so good. Anyway, it's and again, it's awesome when you see a guy who is so deadly serious on the mound able to take a couple of seconds of levity, because it's hard, man. You look at guys that are throwing no-nos or guys that are even throwing shutouts, and they got a towel on their head, and they're trying to stay away from the rest of their team. They're certainly not shadow boxing to the music that's being played. So, good for him.
No.
Like I said, he seems like a really good dude. They really seem to like him. He seems to get along with both Kirk and Venezuela very, very, very well, which again is key because, depending on what next year looks and the years moving forwards past that, that's where you really got to make sure that you have good batteries getting you through the places that you need to get to. He's not a tough pitcher to catch. He throws a lot of strikes. So you have to know how to manipulate and move and allow him to sort of allow his mastery to be a part of it. Which, again, is something that doesn't get talked about enough. You never hear, nobody ever says that the bat catcher threw a no-hitter. He had a lot of influence on how that game was being managed. I listened to the end of the game, and they were talking about that quite a bit on how the game had been managed, how the top 3 from San Francisco are 3 of the toughest outs in baseball right now. And, 2 days in a row, they just kept kicking them in the shins over and over again.
Yeah.
So, good for them, good for the pitching coaches, good for the coaching altogether. I think, these are 2 good wins for John Gibbons, especially when some people were starting to ask, maybe is it time? Maybe are they not hearing him?
You've been watching too much of that other podcast. You said John Gibbons.
Oh, sorry. Well, it's so funny. And shout out to Josh Donaldson for for liking all my
All
stuff.
about on that one.
I'm trying. I'm really trying to get Josh Donaldson on the podcast.
He's messaged us a few times, and I can't wait to really get him on and go
he's
from
a
there.
good dude.
It'll be too funny.
Yeah.
Our buddy
Schneider,
Domingo
Schneider.
interviewed Dylan Cease apparently in spring training. Thank you, Domingo, for that story. But apparently, he is just as cool and collective and everything as we all see on TV. It's not a show; it's just how Dylan Cease is, and that only makes it that much more fun. And that's the reason why everybody loves people like him, Ernie Clement, the stars of this team. They are just great peeps. Good to be around, and that's why you would think this locker room would have never any issues because of people like that in it. But obviously, when everybody is struggling, Jason, that's when you have what happens on Monday, and things kind of boiled up. And clearly, they all said, "Well, it's time to put the big boy pants on, guys. Let's get going." And the last 2 days, they figured that out.
I also like that they haven't turned on each other. Like, you can see, like, when the Yankees come apart, they come apart. Like they turn on each other. I feel like I don't know what it's been lately with the Toronto media, where they haven't quite been as psychotic with the Jays when they do start to struggle. I feel like it's something that's sort of inbred into that Toronto media. But it's been a bit refreshing to sort of have people sort of questioning, when are these guys going to turn it around and what can they do? More of a positive talk track than sort of here's the negatives. Like, it was interesting. I saw an AI, obviously, of John Schneider running out of the dugout and tackling Vladdy and like wrestling him. And then
I was going to ask you about that.
I appreciated the fact that there was a number of Toronto media guys that responded and said, this stuff like this needs to come down. Like, we all can see it's fake. It's dumb. And to pander to some of that other stuff, it seems ridiculous to me. I mean, if the World Cup isn't showing us one thing, and I'm not a soccer guy, I'm not gonna pretend to be a soccer guy, but if just watching the U.S. media turn on the U.S. soccer team has been mind-boggling to me. I mean, let's give these guys. I don't give a ton of credit to teams like that. I feel like they're arrogant and there's all these other things. But I gotta say this. I mean, those guys turned 20 million people onto soccer, and I mean, it's good for sport. It's good for the game. It's good for all of these different things. And I mean, for me, my take on it is I feel like that soccer team went out there with the thought in their head that if we win this game, this will be the most tainted game that we've ever been a part of. And they had so much pressure on them, and the Netherlands or Belgium was just like,
Belgium just crushed them.
We're just going to cramp. We're just going to
bury them.
Yeah. And I mean, the U.S. was
the
scared.
Celebration afterwards. Jason had me even dancing.
I did like the Trump dance afterwards. I thought that was pretty funny. But for them to really unleash on some of these soccer players, I feel like it's so unwarranted, and it's what the Jays media normally would have done. And I feel like it's guys like Jamie Campbell and all of the guys on the Jays broadcast, because they're so respected, and even bringing in guys like Pilar and players that are respected. I feel like it has softened sort of the turn that the media takes on them. I know the Leafs are trying to do it. The Leafs are trying to involve more ex-Leafs in their broadcasts and in their media and all the rest of it, because an ex-Leaf isn't going to turn as hard as someone who's never played the game and certainly never worn the jersey. So, I like that they've been taking more of that and using it as a positive. We can turn so quickly to the hardest part of the negative of it, and it's just, it's never a good idea.
Shows who the real fans are. That's all I'm going to say. That's how we've always been, even in the darkest of times on this show. Even when I started it, mind you, 2018. Just saying. There was nothing going on. I was rooting for Laura Escurial so hard. That's all I'm
there you go.
say.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I always want to be the optimist. There is something with this team that last year I do not think on any level that it was a fluke or a one-off or any of these kind of things. because it felt so cultural. It wasn't just they were putting up in crazy numbers and running with everything. They were playing for the brand on the front, not the name on the jersey. And that was what I was wondering, what was feeling weird about this whole season, because that is kind of the stuff that didn't seem as prevalent, to this season and where things go. But at the end of the day, Jason, there is still a chance, to your exact point, because the rest of the American League is hot garbage. We're just like the Toronto Blue Jays. And maybe, just maybe, you get hot at the right time, or you find the spark, the Red Dragon, whatever it might be. And this team could take some heat off to somebody. We get to hang out in San Diego the next few days.
Yep.
The Blue Jays could be taking advantage of another team there that is obviously having their ups and downs just as much as the Toronto Blue Jays. And you get to see the best closers in Major League Baseball go head to head, Jason.
Yeah, I was just watching some video on Mason Miller, and I've been doing a lot of as my boys, sort of have been growing like crazy, and their bodies are changing in ridiculous ways, and you start to look at some of these athletes and how a guy like, Chapman or Mizorowski or Mason Miller, and then you've got guys who are 6 foot and throw 101 or 102 or 103. And you're like, wow, how do the mechanics work for two people that are so vastly different? And then, you look at Chapman, and he's a big weight guy. And I never realized this, like looking at him when he was a Yankee, especially, I never quite noticed how big he was. And as the years have gone on, I feel like he's noticeably been, working out a lot more. He is getting old, so he probably has to keep his body in better shape to do what he's doing. But, Mason Miller is just a big, hayseed, throat skiing, Paul Skeens kind of guy, right? Like, I mean, he's big, he's heavy, he throws hard, and Mason Miller is, like Mizorowski, he's incredibly long, and to watch the mechanics on a guy that's 6'8" or 6'9" or even bigger, and then how the mechanics work exactly the same on a guy who's 6'1" and throws pure ched, but it's the same arm movement, it's the same arm slot, it's the same things, and it's.
But then you got the freak of nature that is Mizorowski for the Brewers, because dear God, man, he was throwing 102 miles an hour at the end of that game still.
Well, and the worst part for him is that his changeup is like 94,
which is a normal fastball. That's how fast Shane Bieber actually throws.
Yes. And then he's got stuff junk that drops down into the high 80s, and then he'll rip you at 104, and you're like, ow, how does anybody even hit this? Anyways, I mean, I think that I hope that we don't get to see Mason Miller, because that will mean that the Padres are in a game. So hopefully he just takes 3 games off, and he can, if he's going to the All-Star game, I assume he is.
He is.
Fully for him, he can pack his bags early, get his stuff ready to go. Where is the All-Star game? Philly
going.
I wonder if brother Bob is going. Yeah, we should reach out. Ironic.
He's teasing everybody on LinkedIn about his wonderful new job, but he hasn't told anybody yet.
Well, we'll find out. Well, the people demand. The people want to know. The Jaybird watching fans want to know what's going on with Bob File and his actual career, because we never talk about our actual careers.
Yeah, Bob, if you're listening, I'm not gonna lie. Your picture of you playing MLB High Heat 2003 the other day with you, perfect, spot on.
Yeah,
and
spot on.
Yeah, boom shakalaka. Is it the shoes? Yeah. Throw the heat.
So good, so good.
Great game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great game. You know what else is a great game is MLB The Show. If you're not playing if you're 13 to 15, maybe even younger, and you're not playing MLB The Show, it's a mistake. You learn so much about the game of baseball. You learn so much about situational stuff. You learn so much about history. I'm not a huge advocate of kids playing video games, but if you are going to play a sports game, this one is top drawer, and I hope that they can keep that franchise going for a long time. I know they struggled when Sony wouldn't pick up Xbox wouldn't pick up the game. No one was making it. No one was going to make it. EA Sports had sort of gone back and forth about making a baseball game. And then they stepped up and
MVP.
Yeah. You know what I miss? I miss NBA Jam. I'd like to get a stand-up NBA Jam. I think I'd break the handles off it. I'd play it so much. A guy used to love that.
It's
He's on
Blue
fire. Dunk from center. Oh,
Yeah.
so good, dude. So good.
Oh,
The giant
I realized
heads.
my camera's on follow me mode now.
Oh, there you go.
So,
He's dancing,
but
ladies
yeah,
and gentlemen.
it's high on. So there it is. But Jason, like I said, there was a point last couple of weeks I was actually toying with the idea. It's like, okay, great. If I flip the coin right now for the end of the season, do I trade? Do I hold? What would I do if I was sitting in that GM manager spot, a la your MLB The Show compliment here? If I had the opportunity to do something, what would I do? And if the strike, lockout, whatever the fudge was going on next season, I honestly was wondering if it was worth folding. Get rid of Gossy, get rid of the gang, and Chad Dallas and the rest of the gang, and see what it goes. Because the Blue Jays do have tradable assets, especially with Bieber and Gossman being free agents at the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, and I wouldn't be surprised actually if they haven't dangled one of those two out somewhere. I don't know which one. I mean, Gossman has struggled his last 3 or 4 outings, so I mean, I think that his return has dropped, but whoever would be looking at him does realize what a good pitcher he is and what they would be getting.
You could get a top prospect, I think, from somebody's. I'm not saying the top prospect. Look at Brandon Valenzuela. He was a top prospect for the Padres, and we got him last year for basically nothing.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, and I was listening to some guys on MLB Network, I think, talking about how they really felt like the Jays should be selling. And I'm just like I said earlier, like, I mean, they're 2 games out of a playoff spot with 70 games to go. Like, at this point, really, based on the pedigree and what they're trying to do, which is get back to the World Series again this year, why?
Right.
You know, like, could you add some pieces? For sure. I mean, I don't know if the Jays farm system the whole way up has ever been as good as it is right now. Like, I mean,
it's been a while.
The MLB ranking for it seems a little skewed, but again, I don't know some of these other teams and how their farm teams are, and I pay attention a lot to this one because everything's so close and because we do what we do. But I mean, when you start to run down at every level, we have 3 to 5 players that could potentially end up being superstars. Now, is our pitching cupboard full? No, it's not. In fact, I would say that's the weakest part of our entire system right now is our, pitchers that are coming up. We seem to see some flashes, and then we're like, what's this one going to do? And then what's this one going to do? And then they never seem to pan out. Like, even the ones where you're like, I feel like he's a surefire, like if we were to go back in the Wayback Machine and go to some of our pre season talks, there'd be some talk about some guys that over the last couple of years have been expected.
Well, you look at even guys like we got for David Price.
And look
who we trade for David Price, Jason. We trade Daniel Norris, Matt Boyd, and 2 people you never even heard of. Matt Boyd ended up being the winning person of that David Price trade, and nobody would have ever expected that because he was like not even a Blue Jay top 30 prospect. So,
yeah, and because you have in there. I mean, a guy can go from the Canadians to the Fisher Cats and start hammering baseballs, and you're like, I wonder why. I wonder why at the level below he wasn't quite as good as he is, and when he moved up a level, he's unbelievable. I wonder what happens when he's another level. Like, I feel like that's a little bit like Keys. Like, he just kept getting better every single time they moved him up. Now, he has leveled off, obviously, a little bit with the big club, but that's to be expected. I mean, you come in with like a house of fire, and then you've got to regulate. Yeah, I mean, and I know they are trying to get him some more spots at first base and some other things like that. But there's only 9 dudes, right? There's only 9 guys out there, and if it's a tough nut to crack, and so you've got to make sure that every game you're playing your ass off. And So for me, if I was to put my GM hat on, or my, my any of that, type of thing, I don't know what I would be looking to do. Like, I feel like the Jays are in a pretty good spot right now. I feel like, they've got sort of the power bats and things that they need. If they play like, perfect example is these 2 games in a row. Like, if the stars align and they play like they play Blue Jays baseball, forgive me for sounding corny, but if they play like we know they can play, then this is the result. They take a not a terrible team and just monkey whip them. Like, they just smack the crap out of them. And it's like, okay, I get it. Like it's in there. But you wonder about changing the, like you don't want to change the dynamic at this point or do anything weird like that, where you're like, we traded this guy for, like, I thought it was interesting that they DFA'd Penyango today.
Yeah, that was a little awkward, but I do like that they took a chance on keeping CEASAE.
Yeah, me too. I mean, they must have seen something. They must have seen something with the way CEASAE was playing down below, to be able to say, you're not as consistent as an MLB player as we feel like Jonathan CEASAE has been and can be. And I mean, you got to give it to a guy like CEASAE. Guys like, yeah, I mean, and he seems to have worked on it. Like, he was talking today or yesterday after the game, and he was talking about how, he's made some changes to his swing, and he's made some, like, he's in his late 20s, isn't he, or early 30s? Yeah. And he's talking about how he's making adjustments to be a better baseball player at this point. I mean, good for him, man. Like, Davis Schneider has gone down there and put his neck to the grindstone every single time they've sent him down. Every time, that he's the first call.
He hit a home run yesterday.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's just guys that's their path. And do I
you
want
look at the guys the Blue Jays can trade right now? I don't think you're trading JoJo Parker. Maybe Arjun Namala is on the block a little bit because of quote unquote inconsistencies, but still has a high ceiling and a selling point. And Nolan Perry is the new sliced bread for the Blue Jays in the top 100 prospects in all of baseball. So those 3 are actually on the top 100. Just outside of that is Johnny King, Ricky Tiedemann, Gage Stanifer, Juan Sanchez, who is lighting the world on fire right now in Dunedin. Jake Bloss is the closest one to the majors, who the Blue Jays got in that same week that we traded Yusei Kikuchi and for Joey Loperfido.
Yeah.
And then RJ Schreck and Jake Cook, who have been doing really well on the minor league system too. That's your top 10 Blue Jays prospects. And right now, JoJo Parker and Nolan Perry are actually joining their Blue Jay counterparts in Philly for the Futures game.
Yeah, which is, again, is so rad. Like, I mean, and I'm not sure, but, again, if I put my GM hat on, I'm not sure if I want to mortgage any of those guys. Like, I'm not sure of what I could get back that's worth it. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. We have a fair amount of stuff that's available at the major league level and in Buffalo who aren't young, up and coming stars. That, like, do you think Charles McAdoo would be attractive to a team that needs a good solid hitter and a guy who can play a real good, a real good infield? Yeah, for sure. I mean,
it's going to be guys like him, I think, that are on the block, or another guy that basically is ceilinged out right now in Josh Kasevich, who is playing really well for the Blue Jays in Buffalo. But he's been 277 and he's got all kinds of hits. And at the end of the day, what is he going to do? Come up and try to take Jose or, Andres's freaking job?
No, not right now.
No, it's not going to happen.
Those guys
and
are
he's
too
not
good.
taking Akamoto's spot at third. So he's just so far down the depth chart.
Yeah, and I think that's where the expandability of some of these players at at Buffalo needs to start to be utilized a little bit more than I feel like the Jays do sometimes. Like you said, I feel like they do mortgage. I feel like they do sometimes when they're trying to make a trade, they do go into the cupboard a little too deep. But I'm hoping that they're not looking at, like, I think maybe 2 years ago they were kind of looking 2 years ahead to sort of say, okay, we'll be pretty good at this point. Now I think they're sort of like, we're good now. We'd like to sort of keep it this way for the next 5 to 10 years. How do we do that? Like rather
when
than
you're-
flash in a pan, then really try and make sure that what you're doing, spending assets or anything like that, is going to benefit you not only immediately but down the road. I mean, Jimenez is a perfect example of that, of getting a guy for not much that has just been, absolutely invaluable to this team.
Yeah. And then you talk about what this team is going to be. So we were, like I mentioned, with losing after this season, potentially having Gossman and Bieber as free agents, you're going to have George Springer as one of those other free agents. You're going to have a DH spot. So Sean Keyes getting some big league reps this season. Great idea. Having Yohendrick Pinago come up and do what he did for the long tenure part of the beginning of his Blue Jay career. Great. You're going to have an outfield spot potentially, because also Varsho and Miles Straw, I think, are both free agents. So it's going to be, what do you do next year? You're going to have to go sign somebody, and you have a few of those guys, to your exact point. If you trade them now, you don't have them in the cupboard. And I do think that the most likely, as much as I actually love watching Josh Kasevich play baseball in Buffalo, but he's just got nowhere to go.
Yeah, and I feel like
that's what's going to happen.
I feel like out of all those guys you mentioned, I think Varsho is probably the only one that the Jays would consider keeping. I feel like, and exactly to your point though, like, is this a good time to go to Cleveland or the White Sox or somebody and say, hey, we got an outfielder, Miles Straw. I mean, this guy is a veteran. He can steal your bases still. He'll get hits. What have you got one level below that we can get for Miles Straw? And, if you can get a good middle reliever or, a kid who maybe isn't quite a polished trophy yet, he's a little raw, and you're like,
needs that like one mentor away.
Yeah, year in Buffalo, this kid might be devastating. So, I think we've also got a few guys like I don't know what Rogers' deal is with the Jays right now, but I feel like he's a dude based on how no one can touch him when he throws the baseball. He might be attractive to a couple of teams too, for your 6-7 guy, even your 8 guy, because he's so unhittable right now. And he could maybe even bring you a pitching prospect and a player. He's done that well for the Jays, which is great for him because I think it's upped his stock quite a bit. And I think that, it gives him some options that he probably wasn't thinking that he had previous to this, this year. I think he was probably thinking he was getting close to the end. But,
our buddy Jeremy Pridham on our YouTube link is actually bringing up a good point that you talk about. Jesus Sanchez and Jonathan Clase are basically the same player at the end of the day.
Yep.
They've been perform is great, but
there's 100 of those guys.
A dime a dozen.
Yeah, there are 100 of those guys. And I hate to say that because it's not fair to either of those guys. They're both excellent baseball players. But there are way more of those guys than there are Ernie Clements or Jimenez, or even even when you take a guy like Sean Keyes, who, I think he's really only a first baseman. You could turn him.
Let him hit.
So I'm saying you could turn him into a really atypical David Ortiz. Like, he's got the body for it. He hits the ball like it. Seems like a likable guy. Looks like a bit of a ding dong. You could build some stuff around him. He
just hits homers. Don't worry about it. And hard line drives.
Don't worry about him. Don't just leave him over there and let him hit home runs. When we were watching it, we watched him warm up when we were in Seattle, and holy, does he ever hit the ball hard?
Solid contact.
Yeah, just right in the back of the ball and just crushing it out into the. It was weirdly windy that day, and the wind was kind of swirling in the stadium, and you could see the balls weren't going. Like, we watched almost all of batting practice, and the guys who regularly pump them into the stands were barely getting them there, and it was interesting to watch. A lot of high hits and a lot of balls that didn't make it out, and you're like, wow. But
so I guess we're wrapping the end of the show. That was a horrible road trip in Seattle, but you had fun at the ballpark, if I recall.
I did. I will say this. I mean, we watched Friday's game. It was a 2-0 win. It was a very boring game after the first inning or second inning. It still was a win. And I took my sons, my wife, and my best friend Cam. We went down there. It was a lot of fun. I will say this, for the first time, I've been to a lot of sporting events down in the U.S. as a Canuck fan, as a Jays fan. I've gone down to Seattle as a 49ers fan, which you can understand, imagine how well that goes over. This was the most uncomfortable I have felt as a Canadian, being surrounded by, Americans that were really full of vitriol towards anything that wasn't American. And I don't know if it's the World
It was the
Cup.
holiday. It was a lot of it.
Yeah, the holiday, just all
I am
of
not
those
going to
things.
stick up for anybody outside that part, because there are a lot of stupid going on down here.
And I feel like the nice thing was, the guy who was beside us, bless his heart, he would not be listening to this podcast, because we don't have that kind of we don't have that demographic of 45-year-old jerk. But he mocked the Canadian anthem. He really kind of like leaned into the American anthem, and was like, there was like Canadians sort of all around him, and he was like, boy, like no, that's an anthem, and we're like. And the funny thing was, is all I could think about, and I actually messaged my friend Cam, and I said this to my wife Kim, is that guy was all fired up about that soccer game. And my favorite thing was thinking about when that third goal went in for Belgium, was just how angry this guy must have been. And I just hope against hope, but I hope the Canadian national anthem started playing in his head just for a second. Just to bother him even more. But yeah, I mean, it's seems like, it seems like weird times. I mean, I mentioned today on my little video quippy thingy that the parent company of our Blue Jays and media mogul, basically owner of half of Canada's entities, Rogers. They closed. Now they own all of MLSE, all of the Jays, all of the Raptors, all of the Leafs, all of the Argos, and I think there's the Toronto Rock or something like that. But for me, so a lot of my friends lost their job this week, and legitimately, I haven't listened to a ton of Team 1040, or sorry, Team 1040 was the old one, Sportsnet 650 in quite a while, because they never talk baseball ever. And I think part of what their downfall is they were so fixated on the Vancouver Canucks that they never let any of the sports get their proper run. And it just turned into one note radio that was, anytime you turned it on, it was always the same thing, always Canucks all the time. And
you just explained the exact reason I cannot stand watching ESPN anymore, Jason, because it's only football all day, every day. And it's like, you know what? There's other sports out there. I'd love to know what's going on in hockey. There's a reason I used to love watching Sports Center as a kid, because not only did you have all the great personalities and the awesome commercials, you had a fucking soul.
Yeah. I mean, we used to have a thing out here, and everybody from Vancouver or BC that listens to this podcast or subscribes or anything like that, they will all speak highly of Sports Page. We used to have a show that was nightly. It was called Sports Page. It had some of the best personalities, guys that have moved on to Sportsnet, TSN, just amazing sports personalities. It was such a fun show. They used to do a thing at Christmas time called Yulin with the Page, and legitimately every person I know looked forward to Yulin with the Page. It was all the highlights, the mistakes, Don Taylor. I keep talking about Don Taylor. Outside of this, this group, not a lot of people know Don. Don is a really well-respected broadcaster here in Vancouver. He's also the guy that became super famous by calling him the Mighty Dykes, which still stands up as one of the funniest things ever said, because he didn't realize he had said it and then said Ducks the next time. And they had the kind of relationship on the show where the other guy is looking at him like, do you know what you just said? And you could see Don looking at him like, what's your problem? And then it registered in his head what he had said. And you're like, that's just pure hilarity, and you can't take it away. You can't do anything with it. But I think it's discussed. 230 people lost their job across Canada. Sportsnet 900 closed in Calgary. It just takes away, like when I'm driving around, like there's no Vancouver Canadians games on the radio anymore. That's completely gone. Our good friend Tyler, I don't know what he's going to do. I hope there's a spot where they are broadcasting these games because people are actually listening now. No more Vancouver Canucks broadcast. They say they're going to move it to one of their FM. That won't work. Like if you take away an FM station's 80 evenings of an FM station, it's no longer an FM station. It's now a Canucks station for 80 games. Like it just doesn't work. It doesn't resonate. And there are a lot of people who, and we lost a news station here, a very important news station that has traffic and all these other things. When you can't find stuff out, it's got the information ready for you. And to see them spend almost $5 billion to buy out the other billionaires that are involved in MLSE, and then the next day they fire 230 people and literally cut the radio station off. I was listening to it when it went off air. I actually texted one of the guys I know that works for the station and said, "Hey, you're not on the air right now. Like it's dead air." And he texted me back like an hour later, and he was like, "Yeah, it's dead air, all right. We all got canned." Like they just literally just stopped working.
Just pulled the plug.
People were in the booth talking, and it went to a commercial and came back with Westwood 1. And you're like, what? Like I worked in radio for a long time. I know how mistakes can happen. Like if you go to the wrong feed or
on the radio before too.
You go to the wrong feed and you're like, ah, damn it. This was not that. And
you couldn't hit the delay quick enough or you held it down, right?
Yeah. Hard to watch, hard to listen to. And to be honest with you, hard to support a team that is so heavily supported by Rogers. It's too bad Liz wasn't here because she could have just exploded on her vitriol towards Rogers. But I mean, there's very little you can do about it. I mean, they basically own every sports entity in Canada or have a heavy influence in it. And I don't want them to get to the point where I feel like they're going, which is I think they're going to privatize the entire thing. And you'll have to have special subscriptions for the Jays, hockey, and single teams. Like they won't allow you to, like right now out here, I can watch Jays games. I get Anaheim
games everything
on
that Sportsnet has to offer, right?
Yeah, and they'll eliminate that to make you buy subscriptions so billionaires can get richer. Because
they just did that to us here in the States last weekend for Sunday. I couldn't watch the Blue Jays game, which worked out okay, I guess, in my stress level. But outside that, every game that whole day was on Peacock only here in the States, which is the worst baseball feed I've ever seen in my fucking life. Only peaked out by Apple.
Yeah,
which is the same problem.
I actually like the Apple feed. The Apple feed is very clear. They obviously use 4 or 8K cameras the whole way around the building. So, I mean, the clarity of the baseball, it makes, when you think about why you spent all the money on the TV that you own, that's it. It's like when a baseball game comes in like that, you're like, good Lord, like this is what this thing's supposed to look like.
Beautiful, but the broadcast team
commentary is awful.
It's worse than having a podcast play on top of a baseball games. They have no care about what is actually going on the field. And I'm like, what if I'm sitting there watching casually? I want to know what the hell's going on while I'm listening. You don't know anything. So anyway, Jason, we have a show to wrap up. And it looks like you're coming into a lag zone. So I'm just going to queue up the clipboard here for our lovely picks to click. And for the party people, I'm gonna have to pull up the scoreboard here because I have zero idea who the hell we're gonna crown out of this group. Actually, I probably do. Liz had Okamoto, and I think with the Grand Slam and all that kind of stuff, that he technically is the winner because I can't say Nathan Lukes did much better. Sean Keys didn't have a great week either, and then you had Andres Jimenez. So
yeah, he was okay, but he certainly wasn't Okamoto this week. Yeah.
Liz now has 3 weeks in a row, and she's coming back to bite you in the butt, man. You are 5
She better
wins
start showing
in the
up,
lead.
or we're going to start giving her.
She's going to get
Dalton Pompey every week.
The default role. I love Dalton Pompey. Still a great human being. I got to figure out the stat for her. But at this point, I'm going to let you go first. And I'm thinking if Kim wants to throw a name out there for the pick the click for the guest spot, seeing she's technically your chauffeur.
Okay, we're going to do that. So, Kim, my wife Kim is driving us right now. I won't put the spotlight on her. But you have been asked to pick for our guest spot because you're chauffeuring me. Who's going to be the best Blue Jay next week?
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, just pick anybody.
Anybody?
Who's your person?
Anybody.
Well, not pitchers, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't pick a pitcher. It's tough because they're only going to play once.
Okay, what about Vladdy?
She's going to take Vladdy in the guest spot.
After a rocket home run today, that's probably not.
He's back on now. Yeah.
So what's your pick, buddy? That and then thanks for letting the wife go first.
Hey, well, I mean, it's she deserves it. She's earned it. She's got to put up with my crap every day. So, and I was just thinking to myself, who do I want to see have a big week? And I'm going to go with double deuces, Ernest Clement. I would like to see him go into the All-Star break on fire, go to Philadelphia, have a lot of fun, maybe get a hit or two. Just play well, hang out, rub elbows with the big cheeses as he's been doing, and have the American public start to know, the name Ernie Clement. I know they got to know him at the World Baseball Classic. Yeah, why he should be there, exactly.
Did you see the interview with the Talking Yanks guys on John Boy Media, and Jeff Passan was their guest? Did you see that clip last week?
No.
So Trevor Plouffe was a former Minnesota Twin, and he goes, why in the hell is Ernie Clement going to the All-Star game and getting all these votes? It's purely because of the Blue Jay thing. And then Jeff Passan just goes, get off my boy Ernie and put some respect to that name. Yep. It was 100%.
I agree.
The Earn Dog. The Earn Dog. Love Jeff Passan. So I think Liz is going to default to, it looks like
you got to give her somebody shitty. Give her Class A.
Alejandro Kirk.
Yeah, do that. He's terrible.
Go Kirky. My favorite player, you prick. I'm going to go. I need a win. I'm so far behind right now with Kim in the guest spot.
Big Oak? You going Big Oak?
I'm going to go with the Big Oak. I have to go Cause.
Yeah, I would go hot hand right now, too. That guy is just unbelievable.
Oof. I think he's trying to make sure everybody feels really bad about scuffing him about the all-star votes and stuff like that. Just not bringing him in.
I also weirdly, and this is a very un-Japanese baseball player thing to do, I feel like he is he wants to prove that he's better than that guy in Chicago.
I think so too. Murakami.
Why are you giving me the finger?
We're headed to tunnel number 2.
Yeah, we're just about to go through tunnel number 2. So this is going to end perfectly on time. Like this couldn't.
All right, Jason. Say goodnight. Have fun with the Twins. Enjoy your baseball evening.
No.
We'll see you later.
Go
and
Twins!
Blue Jays fans.
And Blue Jays.
Thank you very much for tuning into the wonderful show that is Jaybird Watching right here with all of us, sponsored by our wonderful friends at Jaybirdie Baseball Company. Make sure you check that out. There is the drop that he currently has is starting to run out. Make sure you get over there and use that Jaybird 15. Yeah. Jaybird Pod 15 to get your discount.
And big ups to Coach Lyons from the Twins.
There it is. So thank you very much to everybody who's listening. We're going to have our fan Diego on next weekend, and we're going to have Domingo on to goof around and have fun with us and talk about some of the interviews that he's had in Vancouver. JC's looking forward to having with a beer with you at some point in the ballpark. We'll have to make that happen. Yep. And then the next part to this whole thing is the following week on the 22nd, Jay Jackson has rescheduled, and he's going to join us to talk all things about his literal world travels, his book, and the fun that is baseball and hang out with
Smiling Jay Jackson.
Mr. Smiley.
Best smile in baseball, that guy.
Mayor of Smile Town.
Mayor of Smile Town. I love it.
Thank you very much, everybody. Great time. I hope you have a great weekend. As always, let's go Blue Jays. Cheers, everybody. See ya.